Whether we're exploring the latest in trucking technology, talking about the trends that propel the industry forward, or uncovering stories about the dedicated individuals who keep the wheels of America turning, this is where the roar of the engines and pulse of progress come together. It's sublime, it's surreal, it's the Heavy Equipment Podcast with Mike and Joe. Episode 5. I should note here, one of our listeners made the comment that there's too many words in the English language where the H is silent. So we're going to really emphasize episode 5. And of course, I'm your host, Joe Boris. Mike Schweitzer is going to be with us here shortly. But right now, I have the VP of Business Development of Wave Charging, Ben Auslander. Ben, thank you so much, man.
Joe, great to be here, buddy. Episode 5. I'm flattered.
Episode 5. You're actually our first official guest on the show that has less than 4 legs, because we talked to the cat at one time.
Quick point on that one. I do have a shepherd, and the mailman is scheduled to arrive sometime in the next 10 minutes.
Not a problem, man.
Don't seem to see eye to eye on job responsibilities. So apologize in advance.
Yeah, it's going to be great, man.
That might cause both of us.
No, it's going to be good. Again, this is a new show. We're just getting it off the ground, so I really appreciate you being here. For those of you listening who did not hear the earlier episodes, we talked about Wave real early on. They are doing in-ground, high-speed DC charging for vehicles that are effectively operating on a standard route, whether that's buses or drayage trucks. And that's actually how I came to know about you guys, was through your project at I believe it was the port of Long Beach. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Ben, and how you ended up at Wave and basically what you guys are up to?
Well, it's really high power charging for commercial vehicles. So
but that's key. That's key to know, right? Because it's not like a trickle charge. It's not like just a little. I mean, this is a revolutionary thing. You're putting the same kind of high speed, high power charging that a lot of people are plugging into, and you're doing that very efficiently through an air gap. I mean, there's a lot of really smart stuff happening there.
Very cool stuff. And the technology is fantastic, a lot like your phone. So we are charging 250 kilowatts today on existing bus routes, transit, and it allows them to maintain their operations throughout the day. We'll get into that in a second. Just, you asked me the first question of who am I? Who's this guy and why is he talking to us?
Why are you here, Ben?
Well, I'm here because I heard you guys were a good time.
Listen, you can't believe everything you read on the truck stop terminal bus wall.
Got it. So the writing on the bathroom walls is incorrect. Okay. So first of all, I'm Ben Auslander, and it's great to be here talking to you guys. I'm already having a blast, so that's cool. My background is definitively in automotive. I spent a lot of time with the General Motors and with the Volkswagen, so lots of time with the massive automotive companies.
Why does everyone who say I spent time with General Motors have that same like choked pause? I spent a lot of time at General Motors.
Well, I don't want to get into that. I guess it was just reactionary. So from that, we'll just leave it
PTSD. We'll just leave that. Everybody moves forward. It's fine.
No, they were very good to me for many years. So I have very few complaints that I will voice online. I have an undergraduate degree in marketing and an MBA from Thunderbird School of Global Management. I'll plug my school because I do love my program. Spent some time actually with Volkswagen, helping them with telematics, but I got into the electric vehicle really early in my career. They had an e-Golf. I got to drive it before it went out. I helped them, arrange the app for the consumer, what type of features and functions they were going to utilize. From there, I went to ChargePoint in the early days of ChargePoint, a great company that is doing a lot of EV infrastructure. I'm sure you've heard of those guys.
Oh, yeah.
And a couple other stops in consulting and working with startups. And I got to meet the team at Ideanomics, which is the parent company, and Wave Charging, which has this wonderful technology. And quite honestly, the opportunity to jump on board and help bring wireless and wired charging. We do wired also, wireless charging to the market. It was just too much for me to pass up. So I joined the team, and here I am today talking to you.
That's awesome, man. I really love everything that Ideanomics does. And I actually had forgotten about that. So I'm going to take a minute there. They have, US hybrid, which is a semi truck. that they've converted to hybrid. So they have smaller battery packs that can move around the port facilities and all these ZEV locations. Then they get out on the open road and they can run on diesel or natural gas or whatever you throw at it. They can convert it that way, which is really neat. They have Select Track, which is electric agricultural equipment and kind of heavy duty lawn equipment.
Yep.
I'm still trying to get them to send me Manny Iyer, who's your CEO over there. Yeah. I love Manny. He's a good dude. I keep trying to get him to send me a tractor because I have a hobby farm.
Oh, yeah? You should definitely get one.
100%. And he goes, well, so he sent one to Jack Johnson, who's a singer and like a famous guy and everything else.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, and we got to go out to Hawaii and we wrote the article. We wrote the PR and took the pictures and everything of that. And I was like, we could have just flown out Jack Johnson to my farm and then I could have had this thing.
You can keep it.
We could have been done.
I would think being in Hawaii with Jack Johnson's probably more appealing than being in the suburbs of Chicago in the middle of winter.
Yeah, you know, I guess that's how I'd spend my budget.
Yeah, no, shameless plug. I appreciate you bringing up US Hybrid. You know, they are, you know, a leader in, you know, transformation to electric vehicle or to hydrogen powered vehicles to whatever, and they're doing a great job. So if somebody out there wants to convert to cleaner tech, we can put you in touch with US Hybrid. Shameless plug. There it goes. Select Track also is a great organization. Energica is another company that Ideanomics owns. It's electric bikes.
Let's talk about that. These are like high-end electric, fast, sporty motorcycles. And they just, I believe it was last weekend, they just took their first podium at an AMA road course race against internal combustion bikes. And they've been running them for a while. They've been doing okay, but a real podium with a shot at the win on an electric bike like that, it's been a really big week for them. And yeah, I'm a little bit embarrassed. I kind of forgot about the connection to those guys because I was so hopped up on the in-ground charging that because like I have questions. Like I have an animation of like somebody stands on the wrong pad and gets 40,000 volts right up the brainal cord.
well, it's the bikes are fantastic. If you have never driven one of those, hold on tight because they're fast and they're really good looking and fun to drive. So
yeah, no, they're great bikes. So you're really in there with like a company that's doing a lot of stuff. And, you know, when you are kind of leading edge and you're trying to like lead the way in so many fields, I know that sometimes some of that can get lost, but the EV charging thing is so critical to all of the rest of their operations. You've got to kind of feel like the backbone of the thing.
Yeah.
You have to plug in the tractor. You have to plug in the truck. You got to plug the whole thing.
Everything needs to plug in. And in the future, obviously, is going to require more and more things every year that requires plug-in. And we're truthfully excited to be about, you know, all about getting our technology out to the world.
Well, and so let's talk about that. So you've got electric trucks that are running drayage at Port of Long Beach. And there's a couple of other projects now that are working as pilot programs that are really proving this out, where you kind of have maybe not a 24-hour shift, but you certainly have back-to-back shifts where you're not losing any downtime to charging, right?
Oh, that is correct. And in fact, we're going to have a deployment not too far from your house.
Nice.
I'm not quite ready to announce it specifically, but it's with a couple of big brands in the electrification space and the Department of Energy. And we're working on 500 kilowatts being charged wirelessly. So
that's
really
so crazy. So let's talk about this for a second, because the instinct, right? My initial reaction is that putting 500 kilowatts in the ground where like dogs and cats and kids are potentially walking is you're going to zap them. But the reality is that it's so much safer to have this stuff in the ground than it is with cords, not only cords that can get stolen, but cords you can trip over. Let's talk a little bit about the safety angle of this, because this really is not only for commercial truck drivers, but for everybody who has to live and interact with EVs. This is so much safer than what we're doing now.
It really is safe. We've never had an instance. We've got, you know, deployments in, you know, 6 different states right now. The technology is safe. We haven't fried any cats as of yet. And there's no plan.
At least not on the Charger anyway.
No. So yeah, it's funny because my wife asked me the same questions. Aren't you going to fry a cat on that thing? I'm like, no. The technology is fine. is such that the cat will be fine. You can walk across it. If the bus runs it over, that I can't help it. No, we really. Sorry, I went a little dark there, but we do a lot of training to our drivers, and that's what allows us to have incident free. We make sure everybody's trained on how to best use the system, and there you go.
What is the secret sauce here? Because if you look at like Tesla's last announcement, right, their last big announcement was that they have acquired a wireless charging company. And from what I've been able to see, your system seems a lot cleaner, right? Because you're not going to trip over it. There's no cords. This is like in the ground. So how do you get power to it? And how does the power get from the ground to the vehicle?
Okay, so let me first, by going back to something you just said, there's a couple different approaches to the wireless charging market. You've got commercial vehicles, which require high amounts of energy
right,
transferred to the battery. And then you have low amounts of energy for the passenger market, where the battery isn't as big. It can't take that high level of charge. So, Tesla's approach is very clear, that they acquired a company that is, made for a consumer's garage, not for a multi-ton bus
right.
So our approach is more in the commercial, where we go in the future that I can't talk to too much, but today our focus is really in the commercial space. The second part of your question was the sort of how does it work?
Yes.
And so, we'll use a bus as an example. The bus has to be fitted with what we call a secondary charging pad underneath the vehicle. And then it rolls over and parks on a primary charging pad where it is magnetically pulling in energy from the grid. And then the bus is off and running. It really is a similar technology to the phone charging, where it's just using the magnetic energy off the pad into your phone.
Let me ask you this. You came from ChargePoint. You've been involved with Volkswagen, and when they, presumably were in the early stages or late stages of rolling out Electrify America. There has been so much talk about the charging stations being unreliable. If you have it in the ground under the concrete, it's got to be more reliable, right? Because you're not susceptible to wind, you're not susceptible to weather damage, you're not susceptible to, and I have seen this. There was a Tesla supercharging station that was going up not too far from here, and before they had it live, before it was hot, they had it out there, and someone came in the night and cut all the cords and ran off with all the copper. So none of that happens with your system because it's all underneath a foot of concrete.
That is correct. So yes, we have great reliability. I don't want to badmouth anybody else's. I've been at many conferences where I hear, one of the big problems and one of the reasons fleets are less likely to convert is it really is the reliability of charging, so that they can maintain their operation. So we know that that's a gap, and this obviously is a great way to solve that gap. And I think you did touch on a point. You just have people, when it comes to these charging stations, that drive over cords, that they're not maintained well. Weather can really impact them, and they're not being maintained to the level that they need to be.
Well, exactly, especially when it comes to heavy trucks and you're in a work environment, or you've got heavy equipment now, like the new Volvo excavators and compactors that are using the CCS wired chargers. It's not going to take much for somebody with their hands full, who's on the radio, who's looking at a clipboard, to trip over one of these things and really get hurt and turn it into a workers' comp nightmare, some kind of expensive case. And then somebody's going to come out of the woodwork and say, you should have had all that charging built into the ground. Like you shouldn't have had the cables exposed like that.
Oh, and think about how heavy, once you start getting into the 500 kilowatt range, and you've got to push that much, how heavy these cords are going to be. And they're liquid cooled, which adds even more weight. Yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of hernias out there with people trying to jam.
Well, you're joking, but that's real. That's absolutely real. I look at all of that. I look at like the union stuff that's going on now, a lot of the union negotiations. Some of the union drivers are not allowed to refuel the vehicle, so they're not allowed to plug it in, right? So how are they supposed to plug it in at the end of the shift? Now you got to hire another guy to plug it in. That's crazy town.
That is a real problem at the ports. And
that's a huge problem.
Are aggressively trying to electrify right now.
Yeah, so, exactly.
That is one of the key places to truly electrify is the ports. And the union issues with who can plug it in, who can't. It's really interesting.
Well, yeah, and this is why I love what you guys are doing, because you're solving for a lot of weird problems that most people, and I think even people in the industry, they don't think about that problem until it's in front of them. So
Yeah,
they may already have, okay, we're going to work with Flow to put in their new 400 watt charger. We may work with
right.
Electrify America because they have their new megawatt battery, so we can keep that off the grid more or less and make sure that we always have power.
Yep.
And then you put this all in the ground, you have it all up and running, and then it's a question of, okay, now who's going to plug this in? And
Who's
then,
up?
well, we're $2.5 million into this project. Maybe somebody should have thought of that already.
It happens more than you think.
And that's why, when I first ran across you guys at the ACT Expo last year, to see what you guys were doing, and there was like a little animation playing behind you of like how the truck stops here and it gets loaded up, and while it's there, it's getting a little bit of charge, and then it goes to the depot and it gets a little bit more charge. it
Yeah.
it just seems so smart, man. And like, the worst part of all of this, no, don't say thank you, you didn't build
No,
any
I
of
mean,
it.
yeah, that's
You're
not.
the
It was
marketing
you're
guy.
complimenting us, and it seems so smart. I try to tell my friends and family all the time. They're like, I don't know, it was all right.
Yeah, Ben seems to be smart, he's doing the thing.
Yeah.
But it really is. It really is, though. So, like, who came up with this? Like, who is the founder, the main engineer? Like, is there somebody who like came up with this, or is this like a team of a lot of people iterating on this basic idea until it gets to
Well,
something like what you have
there
now?
was a gentleman named Mike Mascalari who was a part of the founding team in the early 2010s.
Okay.
He called it WAVE, which I think is a really interesting and cool name. Wireless Advanced Vehicle Electrification.
Oh, I didn't
WAVE.
realize it was an acronym. I just thought it was like waves of charging.
Everything,
Yeah.
uh, everything is an acronym.
All right. So
But
let's
yeah,
do it
it's got
again
like a dual meaning,
slowly.
like the
So,
wave of charging. But yeah,
yeah. So it's
so yeah,
wireless.
advanced vehicle electrification.
Wow. That's so good.
I mean, these things take time, right?
Right.
We've had iterations. We had 50 kilowatt stations. We had 125 kilowatt. We've got deployments. So we've got actually some customers we've had for over 5 years, which
Yeah, see, I didn't know that. I thought you guys were still in the concept state. You have programs out there and people that are out
yeah,
there using this. Tell us a little bit about that. What are some of the use cases that real people are using this in and finding success with it?
sure. So we have an active engagement with a bus fleet in California, in
Okay.
the Los Angeles area. Last I checked, they had put our secondary pads on 60 or so vehicles that are utilizing en route charging. So driver pulls up, sits there for 5 minutes, and he's picking up 8-9 miles of range, and then he keeps going at 250 kilowatts. So keeps going and allows him to maintain his operations throughout the course of the day.
Yeah, I mean, and that's really all you need. You need that little bit of juice to get you to the next standstill there. Oh,
Right.
look who decided to join us.
Sorry about that, guys. I didn't mean to keep everybody.
You kept us waiting anxiously.
I know.
We already did the whole interview. We don't even need you anymore.
I know. We're done. We're done. We had. Well, Joe will edit all this out anyways. So
oh yeah, that's true.
There
Ben, Mike, Ben.
Nice to meet you. Unfortunately, you hadn't figured that part out after episode 5.
No, it's this
Joe,
microphone thing is always a mess. Joe's always like, and my computer has like all these defaults built into it. So like everything like defaults back to some black hole audio device that it just doesn't work. So
that's accurate.
That's cool.
Well, we're still here. We're still in the echo chamber. We'll be fine. Ben just gave us the rundown on Wave, kind of what it's about, some of the history of it. And Mike, and what you're doing in a lot of the construction fields and other work that you've done in the past, like in excavation and things like that, I don't think something like this would work in terms of keeping the shift going. But in terms of charging, if you had like a big pad that you can just park generic machines and vehicles on whatever spot, and they would get charged, and you wouldn't have cables lying around or anything like that to manage, that seems like it would be something worth having.
Well, I was thinking about this, that we do a lot of work for First Energy and some of the power companies. And if we had electric equipment on the site and we had a way to park it and absorb, like park it over a charging pad like you're talking about, that would be phenomenal. And that ideally is like the most ideal situation when we're doing substation rebuilds and grounding work and that for those guys, to have a system where you can throw it down, unfold it, and then get the equipment parked on it at the end of the night. Especially a lot of our sites are zero drip, so we have to have full containment over oil and everything like that. So
Yeah.
you already have it in a contained area anyways. So it would be totally plausible just to have an area set up where you could put your charging pad down, park it over top of it, and
Yeah.
get ready for the next day, even when you're not
Those-
using it.
Do those areas typically have access to power from the grid, or do you have to bring in power?
No, they typically have a way of providing power for certain stuff. It just depends on what they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You might want to bake. And then, the other nice thing about this is that they can bake this into the concrete. They can bake this into the road. So there's nobody going to come, snatch it in the middle of the night. It's not going to be affected or impacted by weather. It can have ice and snow and sleet above it, and none of that, because there's a weird thing in physics and math and science, right? Which is that you cannot insulate magnetic fields. You can't
Right.
insulate against it. So if there's dirt on the road, rocks on the road, stones on the road, ice on the road, it doesn't matter. You just pull over it, and now you've got juice.
I was going to ask
So that-
about that. I didn't know how that worked as far as if snow and water and all those things, if that created an issue between the barrier of wave and what you're trying to charge.
Joe, that was pretty impressive. You should be selling this. What are you doing, bro?
I am editing this. Well, no, but it's absolutely true, right? Like when you expose yourself to enough of this stuff and you're constantly around, the EV charging world. And like, I'm going to Move America next week. I've been at Fourth and speaking at Fourth. And, I was the MC at Electrify Expo for a couple of years as they were getting that rolling. And like you've been to enough of these conferences where you hear enough of this and you can sort of figure out this guy's smart, that guy's smart. And then you start picking out like, oh, this is this neat advantage that we have about magnetism. This is something that happens with electricity. This is why it's hard to transmit DC versus AC and why you need to have all this equipment to convert AC back into DC to get it back in. And like we were saying earlier, there's a lot of weird problems and challenges that come up that are not obvious. And they're not obvious because you're not looking at it as an entire system. You're looking at it as, I'm a property manager and I need to put chargers in the ground, or I'm a fleet manager, I need to get juice into the vehicles, or I'm a utility company, I need to get a substation here to be able to provide and meet these energy needs. But if you look at it holistically and you look at this all the way through, you realize that there's some easy solutions there. And this is what I really like about talking to you guys at Wave and talking to some of the other Ideanomics people, is that they're really solving for those problems. And you kind of have to have a 30,000 foot view of this thing to be able to realize how smart this actually is.
Yeah. Thank you. It's hard to argue that.
Ben's up here. Ben's like, can I have a copy of this? I need to train my sales guys on this. Don't get me started, man. I'll have you putting this thing in your own garage.
He's going to have orders today. He's going to have orders.
I got
today.
16 orders. Set up an affiliate link. Go to hep.com/wave and order yours today.
Feel free to reach out to the city of Chicago on our behalf and set them up.
So funny you mentioned that. I'm actually going to Austin with one of the fleet managers for CTA. So I'll
really?
definitely. Now we're interested.
Oh, really? Tell him I said hello.
I'll be like, young Benjamin said you need to give him a call.
You've made some new friends who live far from you, and keeping them close is so easy to do. Reach out and touch someone. Reach out, call up and just say hi. Reach out and touch someone.
Don't let those new friends get away. A telephone call now and then will bring them closer. They're waiting to hear from you. So reach out and touch someone. Give them a call.
But yeah, see, I was telling Ben earlier, I was like, we usually record an hour and then whittle it down to about 27 type minutes. But anyway, so we've made it through our first segment where we're talking about Wave and wireless charging. Ben, thank you so much for that. And now we want to get on to this other thing, which is Mike complaining about telematics.
Well, telematics is one of the things where all the OEMs are basically, they've all been competing to try and basically set up a thing for all the fleet managers so you can try and manage your fleet remotely. That works very well in theory, but how they're executing it has been just a nightmare between how they data share. They shared all the data. None of it's on a single platform. You can't take the data and push it into a single platform. You have to go to their platform. So, like, let's say you have a mixed fleet and then you have 4 or 5 different OEMs on your fleet. You have to go to 4 or 5 different platforms.
You can't pull that into one dashboard. They don't give you like the APIs to connect to or anything.
No. And so Ben knows what I'm talking about. They keep all this separate and it's all proprietary. So when I took over this fleet, we had to go through and painstakingly we picked one vendor for all of our heavy equipment. We installed their box piggybacked onto the back of the OEM one. And that way we were looking at all the data all at once. And we had to separate even our vehicle fleet because I'll plug them here because we tested a bunch of these companies, and Verizon Connect was the only company we could deploy and had it work all over. It was seamless and it's worked nonstop since we put them out there. But the heavy equipment OEMs, the data that they're trying to transmit is not that crazy. It has a certain amount of storage. It connects to cellular. It uploads everything that it couldn't get if it's inside of a building, what have you. But they don't have a good plan for executing it at the dealer level. When you go to the dealerships, and I don't care who it is, they've been working on training. They're working on getting their people up to speed. They're working on how to deploy it. And as fast as they can get that done, they release a new version.
Yeah.
And
how are you doing the because some of these are kind of notorious for doing the over-the-air updates and like bricking machines in the field. They got to send somebody out. How are you handling that if you're using a third-party telematics?
So that's why, again, on the heavy equipment, we use the Caterpillar. Mainly, we use Caterpillar's Vision Link. We use that just for monitoring. We only allow John Deere and Komatsu and Caterpillar to push their software updates over their original box, which is still located on the machine. And that works fairly well. I will say that Caterpillar has one of the best setups going right now where you can deploy software and then you can turn around and they can read what's going on with the machine, make changes, and then go back and forth with it. And they'll do it remotely. And they're way ahead of anybody else. One of the best advertising campaigns that's been out there is Comtrax. Comtrax has been pushing that for a long period of time. It's free. It's included with the machines. They have what you need. The big thing is it all relies on your dealer. The dealer is the gateway to whatever you're trying to do.
Yeah. But I mean, at least they're keeping the dealer in it, right? Because on the automotive side, on some of the vehicle side, the dealer's totally cut out of it. And Ben can speak to this because he's got a background from GM telematics and Volkswagen as well. That software connection, that over-the-air update thing, it's cutting out the dealer. And I think a lot of dealers aren't really happy about that because they don't want to give that relationship back up to the OEM.
So in the past car segment, I can tell you that every time someone needs a software update, they have to bring it into a dealership, and the dealer is able to bill at least an hour of service time back to the OE just for an update, which sometimes can range anywhere from $70 to $90 an hour. And so that is just revenue for the dealership. And it's really easy. All they're doing is plugging a cord into the OBD2 port and pushing new software, whether it's an app update or something with the head unit.
But if you've got a Tesla or you've got now a Jaguar Land Rover, they're doing that over the air while the car's parked, while the guy's at home. So that's, I can imagine that becoming an issue. I remember when I was at Volvo and we were talking about doing over the air updates, they had reps come out and say, okay, well, the first time that we're trying to do an over-the-air update at 3 a.m. and someone needs to drive their kid to the ER, but they got to wait 45 minutes because the car is downloading, like we're going to be liable for $900 million and we're not going to do that. So that makes perfect sense to me. Is that what's happening on the dealer level on the construction side, that they're charging for the updates or no?
So the dealerships are solely responsible for that. And I'm going to tell you that if you have a piece of equipment that is out of warranty and the software is out of warranty, you're going to pay to have them come out and do that on your dime. Because what they've done is ingenious. They have told everybody that they have to have this information and you need it to operate your fleet and you will use it. And then it's already deployed on all the equipment that you get. And then when it runs out of warranty, and then you're like, hey, I got this issue, or my box died, or we got too close to a power line and something like that happened, they just say, well, this is what it costs. It's really not rocket science. They do a hell of a job at putting all the costs back on the fleet owners. It's actually quite well thought out. I mean, it's not that they're not helping you. I don't want to make it seem like that. They are providing a service, but they're not shy to tell you that service is benefiting you and there's a cost to it.
Let me ask a quick question, because this is interesting. So on the commercial side, they're pulling data off the vehicle, and a lot of that can be used for maintenance and repairs and things like that. So that's what they probably want to do. Is there competition to where you would take your commercial vehicle in for those repairs, or is everybody just take it back to the original dealer?
There's people out there for that. We get hit up all the time by third-party maintenance people that want to come out. We totally stay away from that because of a lot of our work. We don't want to have the liability of having, any issue, then to come to find out, well, this guy screwed on an aftermarket filter and it caused a $30,000 problem. We had an issue when I first took over. We had an issue where we had a third party do some maintenance. They had put the wrong oil in one of the components on an excavator, and we had bio oil in there because we were doing work by a waterway, and it just basically turned to gel, and we had to go through and had the whole thing flushed out. It cost us like 40 grand. So you only do one of those one time, and then you're like, we're not doing that ever again.
Yeah. Plus the machine couldn't do its job. So there's the downtime cost also.
Exactly.
Got
Yeah.
it.
I mean, that's just horrific. I feel like this show has gotten serious. We need to switch gears here a little bit and make it a little weirder for Ben so that he can decide to never ever come back.
So I feel more comfortable. I like weird.
Well, we were getting on here earlier and I was like, I have to recognize that this is our hobby and your job. So we don't want to like totally ruin your career here. Make you cause career suicide. This is where we'll splice in an old vintage commercial and then we'll come back from it and recover here.
Ford means business in big trucks. And now Ford announces the CL9000, its new lightweight cabover. Compare the driver comfort of its spacious cab with optional cab air ride. Compare the efficiency of its lightweight, choice of engines, and aerodynamic design. Compare features like plug-in gauges designed to help minimize downtime. Ford CL9000. Compare it with any line hauler on the road today. Ford means business in big trucks.
It was like revolutionary. Tired of piss and blood and barely making it to the truck stop when you've been on the road for 10 hours. Here's a sleeper cab.
What is piss Jugman? What is that?
Oh, piss Jugman. I until you sent me that, I'd never seen. I asked the drivers today. I'm like, have you seen this? They're like, where the
I gotta send
I'll
this.
get that guy with the crane.
Yeah, I gotta send this to Ben. Ben is
Yes, please.
I only have your work email, so I apologize.
That's all right. They'll get over it.
Yeah.
It's this is the wildest thing I've seen yet. I mean, I can't even believe it's like an educational spokesperson
It can't
for
be
how
real.
how to dispose of your piss jugs.
So
And the environmental impact within.
Right. So if you are a normal human being and you have no idea what we're talking about, this is in reference to these over-the-road truck drivers, some of the Amazon drivers that are on a tight deadline, rather than stopping and going into a proper, bathroom facility, they will go in a jug. Sometimes it's a formal product that is made for this purpose, that is sanitary. Sometimes it's like a 2-liter Pepsi bottle. If you're lucky, you're a Gatorade bottle, wide mouth. Exactly. And then what they do with this is, unfortunately, sometimes the less, let's say, charitable of spirit will launch these out the window of the truck. So what this is
on the side of the road is what you're saying?
Oh yeah. Or the side of the road, or they'll get to a truck stop and just dump it out of the window. And there's a Selena. It's called Selena 52 Truck Stop. This is just a truck stop somewhere out there in the flyover states. They have the guy in a suit, and it's like a mascot, like Jeffrey the Giraffe at Toys R Us, and it's Piss Jugman. He's a yellow inflatable guy, and he's gonna be at the he's gonna be at Salina 52 till 6 p.m. tomorrow. He's gonna teach truckers the proper disposal practices, and he is pissed off at all the urine jugs he's found laying around the parking lot. And he's here to say that you're in trouble if you don't dispose of your waste properly. So good. Gotta love the puns. And you can get your picture taken with Mr. Jugman for $5, and Jerry will print it out on the company printer for Piss Jugman to sign.
So that's
20 to
real.
1, he gets hit right in the head with a Gatorade jug full, just as somebody's wheeling through the parking lot at 15. And they just chuck that thing right at him, knocks him over.
How could you not? Like, I find the whole practice disgusting. I like to think of myself as a productive member of society that is not a degenerate. I want to throw something at this guy.
Well, okay, let's talk about this, because one of the things that is a huge problem, and we've talked about this before, and you have all these drivers on the road today, and you have a driver shortage. Everybody knows about this. We go through it. You have people that they don't have any etiquette whatsoever as to what is supposed to happen. Let's take this as a sign of how far the industry has degraded to where this was now needed at a specific stop. Because there's nothing, I'm gonna tell you this right now. When you're on the road and you're hauling, like we haul a lot of oversized stuff. So you're on like a dedicated route that's dictated by the permit for each state.
Yeah.
And you finally get a place to stop. You got to get fuel. You're gonna run in and try and find something to eat. And you literally get out, and on top of the fuel pump and around it is jugs with urine in it.
What about the humanity?
Yes.
Garbage.
Yes.
Well, this is the
on a
point.
hot day, they're not even chilled for you. You can't even
Somebody
drink
has to clean that up.
Anyways, no, with Joe.
I am so grateful Ben missed that one. We're trying to have a civilization here, but it is what it is. Yeah, so I'm so glad I found this to share this. But I feel like this has to be fake. I'm not saying there's not a need for it, and I'm not saying it's not convincing, but it has to be fake, right? Because there's no way that someone would make this suit, draw it out on a napkin, show it to someone else, and have them go,
Joe, I'm gonna tell you,
that's a great idea.
Just in my experience, I have a whole file of you can't make this shit up. And I'm telling you, this is real. Somewhere somebody thought this was a good idea because they were tired of going out. And where's this at? This is in Salina?
Yeah, we got to get
What's the temperature
Jugman
there
on the
today?
show.
What was the temperature there today? Look this up.
It's a balmy 76 degrees.
Okay, yeah. Well, so imagine when it's 105 and then some poor woman's out there cleaning up the fuel islands, and she's got all these jugs laying around.
Yeah,
this Jugman's going to come and save her day.
So who pays for this? That's where does the funding for this guy come from?
Well, it's $5 to get your picture taken with him.
Got it. But
okay, well, that's not paying for
some
the
company
suit.
had to have been like, whether it was like Exxon or Love's or somebody, like, I'm sure it wasn't one of them, but right, somebody had to like start this.
This is like the gorilla on top of the used car dealer. Like,
could you imagine working in the tire shop at the back of the lot, and the owner of the truck stop comes going back there, and he's like, "Bob, get over
here." What are you about, a 36 inseam?
Bob.
Try this on.
Tomorrow, show up at my office. I got something for you. Now he thinks he's gonna, get the regular routine, and the next thing you know, he's got a damn suit he's got to put on, and he's contemplating quitting, but he knows he can't go anywhere else. That's what's going on.
Now he's wearing.
They're gonna get Enrique. You're gonna put this on, or I'm gonna call ICE, and you're gonna be gone.
Oh,
Piss Jugman.
Oh, the accent sells it. Why is this a real thing? But yeah, so and then finally, I think we're going to do this because Ben, you're our first guest. So before I let you go, I want to ask you, what is your favorite famous truck from movies or popular culture?
My favorite? That's a new question. I don't know. I've never thought about what is my favorite famous.
We stumped him.
Yeah.
Well, I think Mike is the Pork Chop Express from Big Trouble in Little China. That's a good one.
Oh my God. I can't even tell you the first one that came to mind.
I
It
like
was
the Transmedic ambulance
it
from
was
Cannonball Run.
Big Top Pee Wee Herman, where he was
Yes.
with Large Marge. Is that what?
Oh,
that's a good one.
that is so good.
Yeah, I didn't know where my brain didn't. That's where it went, and I tried
That's
to come up with something
perfect.
quick, and I couldn't.
What do you mean you
Yes.
couldn't? That's amazing.
It sounds like a garbage truck. Fell
What
off the
kind of
top the
truck
Empire
was
State
she
Building.
in?
She was in some sort of Class 8 for sure, right?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, tell him Large Marge sent you. Oh man, I'm like looking it up. Large Marge truck. There's nothing on Google. It's like
I know.
what do you
I'm looking
want?
at the same thing right now.
Or
Oh,
you're-
it's a Pete.
it's a Peterbilt.
Yeah, it's a 359 or a 379 Pete, depending on. It's a 359 from 1985. Yeah,
It's good enough for Large Marge. It's good enough for me.
that's right. That's right.
This is the best question we've ever asked anybody. We should definitely
Bring that
make
back.
this a right. We're gonna bring that back. I don't think that's what it is, man. I think it's a Ford CLT 9000. It's one of the old Sterling models.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
I think so.
It's hard to tell. Oh no, yeah, it's hard to tell.
It's either a
No,
Ford
it
or a
is.
Sterling.
It is. It's a CL9. It's a Ford CL9000 cabo.
Look,
I
at
actually
that.
just downloaded the clip. So yeah.
We'll play the clip at the end, and then we'll finish off with the air horn. Ben, thank you
Thanks,
so much.
guys.
For people who want to
Thanks.
follow along with what you're doing and who want to learn more about Wave and try to understand why Ben would come on this show, and trust us, it's because of my other show that actually has listeners. Ben's like, I thought this was Clean Technica. What the hell is this?
What?
How do people find out more about Wave and find out
Sure.
about what you're doing and follow along?
Come visit our website, wavecharging.com. And you can click on something and it'll connect to me, or you can just look at the tech and be awed by it.
Exactly. And remember, whenever you get Ben on the phone,
Be sure and tell him Large Marge sent you.
tune in next week for more Heavy Equipment Podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, or wherever you find podcasts.